Chief Censor says musicians must comply. Authorities preparing for imminent disaster. And Transport Secretary says weather service strike illegal.
This is the National EMTV News with Meribah Tulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us for Monday's news. We begin in Lae Morobe province, and there is a possibility that the Naswapum village in Morobe will be washed away by the rising water level of the Makam River. A large portion of land, including several houses and food gardens, have been swept by the water, posing threats to the villagers, and they are now calling on authorities to address this problem before catastrophe strikes.
These villages from the Ngarome village in the Naswapum area have watched the Makam River erode its banks over time. From where they now stand, the landmass once extended more than 10 meters out to where the river now flows. This was where their gardens were.
Garden cocoa, coconut, banana, or something where people live long in.
The Makam River's original path flows along that mountain. Mid last year, its direction changed towards the Naswapum area and it began eroding the landmass. 2 houses that were in this area were washed away along with the village's gardens. In the past week alone, the river has washed away about 2 more meters of the banks.
Process plan now weekly or daily, every minute, every 1 mm, ground and put down so. We don't play how 1 mm coming to play within a week or 2 or this time.
This village is not far from the main highway.
It's like war again. I'm come close to finish the big national highway.
They are now calling on the authorities to address this before the river reaches both the village and the main highway.
Government must have some that looks well, Mipla plus one if something or make him straight to this protect him road to.
Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Lae.
Transport Secretary Roy Momo says the strike action by employees of the National Weather Service is illegal and they are not supposed to issue media statements without approval from his office because it's just a division within the Transport Department. He made these remarks in relation to the industrial strike action taken as of last Friday.
This is the first time employees of the National Weather Service have taken a nationwide action to stop work since operating under the Transport Department. The main door to the office of the National Weather Service remains closed as of the close of business last Friday. Employees of the National Weather Service say the Transport Department had failed to address their outstanding salary grievances as it promised to do so in the first pay period of 2018. Thus, the employees have taken the industrial action to go on strike. However, the Transport Secretary, Ray Mumu, maintains the strike is illegal due to non-compliance to the Public Service Attribution Tribunal process.
The strike by our National Weather Service officers is illegal. I will reiterate again, as far as I'm concerned, the strike by our National Weather Service officers is illegal. First, it does not comply with the arbitration tribunal's process. For a secret ballot to be undertaken before a notice can be issued to go on strike.
On December 20th last year, employees met with the Transport Secretary and highlighted their reasons to go on strike.
I was called upon by the arbitration tribunal chairperson to attend in person on the 20th of December 2017, a few days before we went for the festive period, to address the 4 issues.
After the discussions, they claim they were verbally promised their grievances will be addressed in the first pay period of 2018.
I made a commitment to take up with government the issues and that the Department of Personnel Management will continue to get them under the current public service structure. The only award, as far as I'm aware, that Department of Personnel Management approved was a 350,000 kina back payment only for 2016 for the 63 officers of the National Weather Services.
Thus, employees continued working until last Wednesday, but received no favorable response. The strike is for an indefinite period, but the Transport Secretary maintains that the strike is illegal and is calling on all employees to resume duties.
Directed by my Minister for Transport and Infrastructure, Honorable Wesley Nukunch, that as far as he's concerned and as far as the government is concerned, this is an administrative issue. The government is well aware of the issue at hand, and we continue to manage it as a management and the Department of Transport.
Since the stop work, no weather reports have been issued to all media outlets. In the aviation sector, the Civil Aviation Safety Authority is providing necessary information on weather to assist airline operators.
The officers decided to withdraw services as of 4:06 last Friday, the 5th of January 2018. Our objective and focus as the department is to ensure that the required levels of service continues to be provided to allow our aviation and maritime operations to continue with their normal operations and for public consumption. Let me repeat again. Our focus since the withdrawal of services by NWS officers was to ensure that our maritime and aviation operations continue and that our public are aware that life goes on.
The National Weather Service says the strike will continue and they will make a response to the Secretary's comments tomorrow. Thekla Gunga, National MTV News.
Airline operator Air Niugini has rescheduled its flight PX126 this afternoon due to the dust and volcanic ash fallout from Cordova Island volcano. The Port Moresby to Wewak has been rescheduled to daylight operations tomorrow to allow for better visibility and will be reviewed tomorrow morning. Air Niugini has assured the travelling public the situation is closely monitored by Air Niugini staff in Wewak in consultation with the National Airports Corporation. On a related note, the PNG Defence Force has deployed troops to assist the affected communities of the volcanic eruption in Cordova, East Sepik Province. Troops from the 2nd Royal Pacific Island Regiment in Wewak have departed by boat to the affected area, while a chopper from the Air Transport Wing in Port Moresby has arrived in Wewak for the rescue mission. Another naval team from the Basilic Naval Base in Port Moresby is expected to arrive in Wewak soon. An estimated 200 soldiers and naval officers are involved in this rescue mission. Colonel Sialediro, the head of the PNGDF Force Preparation Unit, says they are preparing other assets to assist with disaster relief. And ECP Governor Alan Bird and Wewak MP Kevin Isufu have assured the people of Wewak that they are taking necessary steps to address the current situation on Cordova Island. Governor Bird said they are preparing for a massive evacuation of 3 islands if the situation worsens.
Following the eruption on Friday last week, over 500 men, women and children have been evacuated to nearby Rup Rup Island. However, Governor Bird says that number might increase given that Rup Rup and neighboring Biam Island are also volcanic islands.
So essentially we're not just talking about the evacuation of Karawar, we are talking about the evacuation of Karawar, Rup Rup and Biam Island. So the entire evacuation is going to be for about 5,000 people.
But for now, the immediate priority is relief supplies. A shipping vessel will deliver first supplies tomorrow morning.
They've run out of water on Rup Rup because the 1,300 people on Rup Rup, that island can only support a certain number of people. And in about the last 5 or 6 days, with all the 600 odd people from Kadawar, food and water has already run out on the island. So our immediate priority is to try to get the landing craft out there with food and water within the next 24 hours. And we're working on that now.
The other priority area is communication, which will be set up by the PNGDF with assistance from the National Disaster Office.
Things could happen right now as we sit here and talk, and we don't know about it until tomorrow, or somebody the weather to come. So it's quite a challenge for a country like Papua New Guinea, with so much remote communities who often get affected all the time.
Governor Bird also says they are planning ahead if the continuous eruptions trigger a tsunami.
Given the shallowness of the area and given the type of volcano that Kadawar is, it's likely to cause a tsunami when it explodes. The Wewak coastline from Wewak all the way down to the mouth of the Sipik, in fact the Murik Lakes and all those places, we have to get word out to them, and so that's how bad the situation can get. We are very aware of it, and we are doing everything we can to at least warn people and get them ready.
In the meantime, the PNGDF have deployed 2 ships and a helicopter to the disaster area.
At the moment, they engage in the initial reconnaissance of the disaster area. And when they complete that, by tomorrow we should have the exact assessment of number of men that we can deploy to assist.
I just want to, as the member for Wewak, I just want to assure the people of Wewak that we are taking charge of the situation. We have a good team on the ground, comprising of the provincial administration, led by Governor Bird and his staff, and my district officers.
Stanley Ovett Jr., National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, ECP Governor Alan Bird has appealed to his people to assist with cash or kind like fresh fruit. He also announced an appeal account will be opened in the coming days.
For those that are thinking of assisting, those who are in ECP, the barge will leave hopefully within the next 24 hours, hopefully tomorrow morning. So the people in Wewak and some of the other districts, if you want to donate some fresh food and fruits and whatever, just go down, talk to the guys at the administration, and we can do a collection point and try to get some fresh food on the vessel to help our people out there. For those that want to contribute in cash, we are working now to set up an appeal account. We're working around the governance. Most of the people of the Chiltern Islands are Catholics and Seventh-day Adventists. And we want to get the church involved in making sure that the governance stands up to public scrutiny. And we're working on that mechanism at the moment, and we will advise the public once we have resolved all of the issues surrounding that. And then.
Here with National EMTV News, we'll have more stories from around the country when we come back. Stay tuned. Welcome back to National EMTV News. Deadly tribal fighting is one of the biggest problems here in Papua New Guinea. Dozens of people are killed and thousands displaced by violence every year. The International Committee of the Red Cross came up with an unusual way of trying to stop it through drama. They are making people think whilst also making them laugh. This story from ABC News.
The Red Cross are on the move in the PNG Highlands. But this trip isn't to deliver aid to the victims of war. Instead, it's to bring drama and comedy to communities affected by tribal fighting. The performances encourage audiences to think about the consequences of fighting.
Communities were broken, families were broken. They killed women and children, and they destroyed many things. The drama correctly showed this.
Dozens, if not hundreds of people are killed, and thousands are displaced every year by tribal fighting in Papua New Guinea.
The issue of tribal fighting is huge. It's basically hampering or hindering development of infrastructure, of education programs, health programs.
The Red Cross is trying to get warring communities to agree to a set of principles that will reduce the damage from tribal fighting, such as rules against killing civilians or health workers or damaging public infrastructure. They can't measure the impact of the drama component, but the audience reaction suggests it's being appreciated.
We do know they love the drama show in a place where there's no TV and basically no internet and not that much happening all day long.
The Red Cross says there are encouraging signs. Tribal leaders are agreeing to respect humanitarian principles. So, hopefully the only drama these people will experience in the future will be on stage.
The Australian federal government has unveiled a $110 million package funding to tackle Australia's youth mental health crisis. Targeting children at a young age, programs will run from kindergarten and schools, both primary and secondary.
Youth mental health in Australia is at a tipping point, with 1 in 4 young Australians suffering with a mental health condition. That's triggered this massive funding boost from the federal government of $110 million. The lion's share will go to Beyond Blue, $46 million for its National Education Initiative to help train teachers identify and refer young children at risk.
When we think young people, it's not just adolescents, we're talking about preschoolers, 3 and 4 years of age, developing emotional literacy, helping them to understand feelings, to be able to articulate that in a way that we can identify children at risk a lot earlier.
The need for action can't be overstated, with suicide the biggest killer of young Australians, according to the Bureau of Statistics. In addition, half of all lifetime mental illness begins at the age of 14.
What we are designing is a program that is incredibly easy to access.
Operating on a year by year, wondering what's going to happen the next year after. Today's announcement is really about giving some assurance going forward to ensure that young people can feel like they can also seek help.
This funding will be put to work almost immediately, with the big ticket item, the National Education Initiative, due to be rolled out in schools across the country by August.
The value of a university degree is under question, with more than a quarter of the graduates saying they're close to useless for their jobs. That's the findings of the largest ever survey of Australian employer and employee on higher education. Bosses were even more skeptical than graduates. Qualifications in management, commerce, creative arts and IT were less important to their corresponding career. And now a look at the finance news. The Kina closed unchanged at $0.3095 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.302, $0.3797 Australian dollars, €0.2468 and 33.79 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading lower, coffee and cocoa closed a day lower, copper closed a day higher. Palm oil and copper closed the day lower, while crude oil is trading higher. And on the stock markets, the Dow Jones closed 220 points higher, the ASX is up 8 points, and the All Ordinaries up 6 points. Here with Monday's news, we'll have more stories on the home front when we return. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. To Morobe Province now, and Klinki PMV Association has presented items worth more than 2,000 kina to the Bulolo Police Post. Traffic Officer Deslin Lucky says this will help them to keep proper records of accidents and deaths along the Wau-Bulolo National Highway. The items include a new laptop, printer and a ream of A4 paper, as well as a mobile phone. Lucky says reports on traffic incidents presented for court hearings are often rejected due to the time spent on writing them using pen and paper. The traffic officer does not only cover the Bulolo area, but monitors the Wau, Aseki and Menyamia districts as well. This was the first time the police post has been given this kind of help after 4 years. All broadcasters and publication agencies in Papua New Guinea might lose their license and have them terminated if they fail to comply with requirements set up by the Office of Censorship. Chief Censor Stephen Mala, in an exclusive interview, told MTV News broadcasters will be slammed with tougher penalties for non-compliance. This also applies to any form of content like music, video and advertisements publicized through any form of media for entertainment.
Chief Censor Stephen Mala says there must be full compliance and maintains the role of the Office of Censorship, that is to protect Papua New Guineans from indecent information and materials.
There are procedures to follow. Before they release their album, they should get approval from us, from the Office of Censorship, so that you don't encounter those type of penalties later. So to avoid all those unnecessary penalties, for them, for their own interest, it would be best for them to come to us first to get the clearance. That I would strongly recommend to any musician, up and coming musicians. Yeah. We look at the lyrics and everything else before we give them the clearance to go ahead and do the production.
All agencies, like broadcasters, are to comply with requirements of the Office of Censorship, or else their license will be terminated.
Send you a written letter if we think that you have not really changed yet. Then the last option, I think it's the ones that no one would want the suspension and the termination of the broadcasting license. I don't think anyone would want that. But I hope that we will not have a case to go that far.
The chief censor also called on all broadcasters and publication agencies to be more professional and be ethical.
It is not a thing that we want to discourage the industry, but we just want to make sure that the industry is clean and that everybody is happy about what is being produced in terms of the songs, and especially the lyrics.
In the meantime, musicians have been warned to be considerate to avoid the use of slang words. One of the latest songs.
I've actually drafted an instruction that we will have to pull down that. There's not only that one, there's a couple more that I've included that I have decided that we take them over. It should happen anytime today.
Lillian Kinea, National EMTV News.
Public servants in Bulolo have reported that there is no proper water supply in the district. Police Station Commander Leo Kekas has also confirmed releasing 8 prisoners with minor cases before Christmas due to limited water supply that caused a blockage in its toilet. Kekas says he is still waiting for a favorable response after reporting the matter.
Bulolo District Police Station Commander Leo Kaikas said the only solution left is to shut down the police post if no help is given from the police hierarchy and the provincial and district levels. The water supply problem in Bulolo District has been a concern for over 10 years. It has not only affected the police post but the rest of the Bulolo area. PSC Kaikas said they have been getting water from the PNG forest industry to help sustain the prisoners in the cell blocks.
When we see that the cell block is blocked, we usually ask the National Forest. They have this big truck to come and flush off the waste. And we also ask the PNG Forest Product. But the problem is, they also need this vehicle for other businesses as well. So when they are free, they usually help us, but otherwise, sometimes they don't help us. So now the cell is blocked now. The health authorities already came in and they asked me to fix it off, or we'll have to close down the cell.
This is the new Bulolo police post that was built in 2008. It has 15 police officers working there with the assistance of 8 police reservists from the local level government. The police post has 4 cell blocks with a holding capacity of 20 men. There has not been a residential magistrate in the district for more than 3 years. Detainees are being released on bail due to the health condition in the cell and no proper court hearings.
But the worst part is, some of them, when they're on the bail, they go out again and they commit another trouble again. You see, and that's a problem that we are facing.
Inspector Kaikas says 8 detainees were released before Christmas with only 9 remaining. The 9 included a convict and an escapee. The police hierarchy and district authority have been urged to sort out this water supply issue. Julie Badui Owa, National EMTV News, Bulolo.
Still in Morobe Province, Chairman of the Klinki PMV Association of Bulolo District, Den Nali, has called on the government to fix the deteriorating Wau-Bulolo Highway. The poor road conditions have become a threat to the travelling public with increased traffic accidents. The Wau-Bulolo Highway is the economic corridor to the 2 existing gold mines and for agricultural products like coffee and garden produce.
This part of the deteriorating Waubulolo National Highway is located in the UN Gulf District. It starts from 9 Mile in Ley and ends here, at the border of UN Gulf and Bulolo District. It continues into Bulolo and further to Wau, Aseki and Menyamia District. For more than 10 years, the road has been impassable for vehicles. The chairman for Klinki PMV service in Bulolo District, Dan Nali, says much needs to be done to this deteriorating road.
Government must look now, government will be the person coming to national highway because highway contribute meaningfully on national base, country as a whole. Now how by people who suffer, yes come, yes go, yes come, yes goes. Something has to be done.
The Wau-Bulolo Road is the only connection linking the district of Wau with the provincial capital Ley. It was built during the early exploration of the gold rush in the Wau-Bulolo area in the early 1930s. Much of this road was left unfixed after a rehabilitation years back. The road link is not only used by commuters traveling to Wau and Bulolo from Ley. It is also an important one for the Wafi Gold Project.
3 days, 4 days and parking because traffic car from mining to Romania,
Over the last 6 years, equal blame on road accidents has been leveled against careless drivers. While the awareness on road safety continues, reports of road accidents and deaths will also continue as roads and other infrastructure are left to deteriorate. The national and provincial government have been urged to work closely with the district authorities to seal up the road and make it safe and accessible by all. Julie Badui Owa, National MTV News, Ley.
Back to Port Moresby, and Wellness Lodge is the first corporate house to donate blood to start off the new year 2018. Owner Jamie Maxton Graham has committed to partner with Port Moresby General Hospital in the drive to support its life-saving work. Currently, over 60 corporate houses donate blood 3 times a year.
2018 started on a positive note with the blood drive by the Port Moresby General Hospital. Mr. Jamie Maxton Graham says the drive is an important procedure that needs support from corporate houses.
I'm appealing to everyone else, please, we need to donate blood. There's people who are in dire, desperate need, especially after the festive season. Came up with the idea, I said, look, we're just donating it because, you come to us and say, oh, we need blood. And I suggested, why don't we have a partnership, corporate partnership. So I am committing my Wellness Lodge group, all my employee staff. I'm committing my company to be a partner of the National Blood Transfusion Service of Papua New Guinea.
POMGen Hospital needs almost 400 bags of usable blood in a week. The hospital is fairly stocked with blood. However, since blood cannot be stored for a long period of time, they need a ready and continuous supply of blood. This life-saving procedure is also beneficial for the donor, who in turn receives a free mini checkup. Merlin Daukatam, National MTV News.
You're watching National MTV News. We go for a break now. When we come back, some sporting updates in Trukai Sports. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. We begin with football, and Toti City Dwellers and Madang FC have retained their spots in the 27-18 Oceania Football Confederations Champions League tournament. The PNG Football Association's domestic league competition, the National Soccer League, is a platform where the country's top 2 teams represent PNG abroad.
The National Soccer League is played in 2 components. The first part will see the winner of the domestic league competition and the runner-up qualify for the OFC Champions League. In this case, Toti City Dwellers and Madang FC have qualified to represent PNG in the region's top club football competition.
Now we have 2 spots, and it's important for us to maintain those 2 spots. So we need to support both Medang and LCD to do better this year, so that we can be able to have those same 2 spots next year. If they don't do well, we will automatically lose out 1 spot, and we'll go back to only 1 spot like previously we used to do.
The second part is the finals round. The final 4 teams in the NSL race for the top 3.
The second part of the component is the finals, which is the champions. So those are the 4 teams. At the end of the qualification, the 4 teams go and play for prize money. At this stage, we are not able to disclose the prize money as yet.
The 2016-2017 season finals didn't proceed as planned, with the controversy surrounding PNGFA's financial struggles, which put the competition on recess. NSL chairman Benny Popotai admitted and apologized in a press conference held last week that the first part of the competition was completed, but the second part ended with no finals.
Apologize to the soccer fraternity that we ended the 2016-2017 season abruptly. Apologies for that. It was due to circumstances beyond our control. So this year's competition, this term, we hope to make it better, because we have learned from lessons and structured the way the competition will be run and managed, so that we can deliver to all our stakeholders, especially soccer fans and followers and families who support soccer.
Meanwhile, dwellers are grouped in Pool A and will head down to Vanuatu for the OFC Champions League campaign from February 10th to the 18th. Pooled in Group C, Medang will start their campaign in New Zealand on February 24th to March the 4th. Both teams will have their washout matches upon returning from the OFC Champions League before the NSL semi-finals top 4 playoffs on March 24th. Shane Soroya, National MTV Sports.
To cricket, and the ICC Under-19 Cricket World Cup is officially open. The official opening was in Christchurch, New Zealand yesterday, attended by 16 participating nations. These includes the PNG Under-19 Garmuts, led by skipper Vagi Karaho.
While welcoming the 16 participating nations on behalf of the ICC and the NZC, New Zealand Cricket President Debbie Hockley acknowledged the tournament as an important milestone to international professionalism in the sport. For the PNG outfit, this is where they build their cricketing skills. In a statement, Garamut skipper Vagi Karaho said most of the PNG players are first-timers to play at this level, and the much-needed experience they will get from this tournament will help build a national cricket team. This junior division, the Garamuts, is only a pathway to the national senior team, the Barramundis, and the Garamuts look to make the most of it. Now being pooled with the likes of cricket giants India and Australia, this experience is expected to give the Garamuts an enormous challenge, yet one that will mold them into pros. The first match of the tournament will be this Saturday, but for this week, they have already played the first warm-up match against the West Indies, and they will take on the second warm-up match against host New Zealand on Wednesday. Dini Rose Raiko, National MTV Sports.
And we'll have more of Trukai Sports after these messages. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. To rugby now, and in order to be competitive on the international stage, PNG Pukpuk's coach Douglas Guys is taking a strategic approach with his coaching method. He says PNG players are naturally lighter on their feet and are not as big as their forward packs compared to other countries. However, hard work and perseverance is a team's greatest weapon and is evident with the recent success. Guys said the team is currently working on drills to improve, including ball handling and one-on-one plays. To rugby abroad, and the Springboks may be two-time world champions, but they're now 6th in the world rankings. They also lost to France in a bid to host the World Cup in 2020. But the Sevens team is striving, and the future looks brighter, also opening doors for deprived youth.
You may not realise it at first glance, but this could well be the future of South African rugby. It's hardly state-of-the-art, but this makeshift gym in Cape Town's Khayelitsha Township is powering a passion for rugby, which is changing both lives and perceptions for the young players of Connect Academy. Travelling from the township to the training ground can take hours and involves a journey by bus and on foot, with players and coaches carrying their own equipment. Existing through charitable donations, the Connect Academy aims to create a level playing field for players who may have encountered a bumpy road en route to rugby.
Spine nice and tall, sitting nice and deep. Just hold it there for me for 30 seconds. Get your feet nice and wide too. Andy, put your feet nice, soften your knees. Kids from underprivileged backgrounds weren't getting an opportunity to get access to the right sorts of resources that privileged kids are getting. And rugby is opening up all these other opportunities for them. But it's rugby or gangsterism or you know, idleness. So those are the three things: communication, working off the ball, looking for space. Okay? Cool. You ready, guys? Okay, let's go.
Here we not just players and teammates, we're actually kind of a family because we help each other in any way we can.
Good, much better, much better. There we go.
Connect is a good team. They support you, they give you opportunities that I didn't get in that other team. They showed me support. They acted like they are my parents.
What do you make of the coach? What do you think of him?
Oh, Coach Mari. Nah, I love him so much. He's like my father because everything I say to him, he understands it. And if I have like nothing, and if I ask him, he's gonna like do like everything for me. It's like, now I appreciate what he's doing for me.
It's a very, very tough environment that a lot of these kids come from. So we've had to take care of a lot of things that you wouldn't think of initially. So we've got a clubhouse in Khayelitsha. The kids can go and eat there and hang out there on weekends or after school. So I think for parents, that's what matters. That's really important to them, that the kids are taken care of in those vulnerable hours.
It's actually changed my life because where I live, there's like too many people like smokes and then being gangsterism and like those stuffs. So now I live in the clubhouse. I'm out of my township, my area where I used to live.
LT, that's a waste, boy. Don't show off. Kids aren't becoming gangsters because you know, they want to sell drugs or whatever. They're doing it because they want a sense of belonging and a sense of ownership. So that was a big starting point for us. And sport is something that like you can create your own gang.
The temporary training ground overlooks the Cape Town Stadium, where the Blitzboks will defend their Sevens World Series. But Murray Ingram and his coaching colleagues are hoping to find permanent facilities in which to develop players, coaches, referees and physios for a future in the game.
Some of the kids, especially this year, we've had a big group of kids starting to get bursaries at really, really good schools. And our oldest player, who's 19, she's a girl and she's just got into university to study sports management. And that's a huge win for us.
Because of me playing rugby, I got in school because they saw something in me, I guess. So they're like, okay, you can play and then study because education has to be there in sports, yeah.
Say's success, on and off the pitch, only became possible after she overcame her family's fears about her taking part in the sport.
There was no way. I was going to break my bones, I was going to get to a hospital, they just didn't like the idea of me playing rugby because they said it was just too dangerous, it was for boys and I couldn't play. Now they have confidence in me because I've played really well.
Well done, Nunu. Come on, yeah.
It feels like this is your other family.
It has to be. You know, this goes so beyond rugby, and these kids become your kids. And especially when you're working with a small group of kids and realise their vulnerabilities and just their personalities, you can't not get involved.
I would like to be a professional player, but I know it's hard work. That's why I'm willing to do the hard work.
Swing hard, up, swing up. The kids make me proud. You know, when I watch them, and especially this year, like 4 of the kids became national champions in their respective age groups. They played in under 13 and under 15 tournaments and they won their tournaments. And that makes me proud because they're kids that nobody would have expected that to come from, and they are anomalies in that world. That's the kind of stuff that I like to sit back about and reflect on.
What do you think the future holds for you? Where do you go from here?
Now from here, I go all the way to Springbok team.
And that story wraps up Trukai Sports for this evening. We go for a break and be back after these messages. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Now, unfortunately, due to the ongoing unresolved issues involving the National Weather Service, we are unable to bring you the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. However, as always, if you are traveling by boat, please exercise caution and make sure you are well prepared for any contingency. And if you're traveling on the road, drive safely and within the speed limits. Some centers are experiencing dry spells, while other centers around the country are getting too much rain. Now, before we go, a recap of our top stories this evening. Chief Censor says musicians must comply. Authorities preparing for imminent disaster in East Sepik Province, and the Transport Secretary says Weather Service strike illegal. And that has been the news and sports for today, Monday the 8th of January 2018. On behalf of the EMTV News team from around the country, pleasant viewing. Good night.